Good morning, and thank you for stepping into the Five Playland. As always, I'm your five player. I'm doing a non-boxing video, and this is regarding my football team, the New York Football Giants. I want to try to start doing more more other sports videos, and I guess I'm using this as a foray to do such. I'm making this video regarding the recent signing of Matt Rhule to the Carolina Panthers. As some of the New York Giants fans may know, that Matt Rhule, the coach of the Baylor football team, was the highest priority as far as the Giants went in search of a new coach. Supposedly, they were scheduled to meet today with the Giants. Matt Rhule was scheduled to meet today with the Giants. Immediately after his loss in his bowl game with Baylor, he went on vacation to Cabo in Mexico for a week. Must have been during that time he was fielding phone calls because this Carolina signing of him was done today. So they must have touched grounds with Carolina at some point, where maybe the Giants either didn't touch grounds with Matt Rhule, or Matt Rhule did touch grounds with the Giants and was told something he didn't like. Apparently, there was a standard that he wanted to enforce where he would have control. It could be the situation was that the Giants told him that Gettleman would still have a former Dave Gettleman, the GM of the Giants, or the current GM of the Giants, would have some sort of personnel control. Maybe, I'm not sure what it is. The Giants did seem sort of reluctant to part ways with Dave Gettleman, and I'm not sure why. Matt Rhule was, according to reports, the guy that they were most interested in. And since the time that they've been waiting on Matt Rhule, Ron Rivera has signed with the Carolina Panthers, which was another candidate that the Giants were supposedly interested in. There's reports that the Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels is set to take the Browns job, even though he will be taking an interview with the Giants today, supposedly. I'm not sure how true that is, but the main intent of this video is that the Giants are a utter mess. If Matt Rhule was their guy, I think they could have taken that meeting early on. Even so much so as to fly down to Mexico during that time of his vacation and hash out the details and see what's what, and then rule him out early on. And maybe you had a chance of signing Ron Rivera if you were interested in him, or really put your efforts into Josh McDaniels. But now, I mean, like, the candidates that are left are, Jason Garrett. I mean, nobody wants Jason Garrett. I mean, he's never been a coach that anybody's been pumped up about. They have Wink Martindale out of Baltimore, the Ravens defensive coordinator. I mean, he's kind of an unknown. But it just stinks. I mean, like, the Giants are in a situation where they have they could potentially I think they do have over $90 million worth of cap space going into free agency. My biggest gripe with Dave Gettleman, I did have an objection to him picking Daniel Jones number one overall. I mean, with that number one draft pick, number 6 overall last year. Having said that, Daniel Jones has actually played a lot better than I anticipated, but my beef with him was that he picked a quarterback 1 year too late. I thought they could have picked the quarterback with the Saquon Barkley pick, number 2 overall, in 2018. But Saquon Barkley has also played a lot better than I anticipated on this team. Problem is that Saquon Barkley's best years are being thrown away on a really bad team at the moment. But my bigger gripe with doubling down with Gettleman and maybe Matt Rhule leaving because of not having total control or having to split control with Gettleman is that David Gettleman's worst attribute since he's been with the Giants have been his free agency signings or his acquiring of big contracts, i.e. doubling down on Eli Manning and um, bringing in Nate Solder for a lot of money, and we can't even cut Nate Solder this year. I mean, even if we wanted to, I mean, we'd probably be only saving about $4 million in cap space because of the way his contract is structured. Getting Alec Ogletree from the Rams, um, you know, acquiring Leonard Williams from the Jets for a number 3 and 4 pick potentially, and having to re-sign him. I mean, he's gonna want $16 million. I don't think the Giants are gonna let him walk under any circumstance, just because they don't want to look bad, and that's gonna cost us 16 million, maybe more, for a really really average player in Leonard Williams. I mean, average to subpar. I mean, in my eyes, I've known Leonard Williams since he came into the league, and I knew him in USC. Leonard Williams has never been good, and we're on the threshold of using a good chunk, nearly a fifth of our salary cap money on a player like Leonard Williams. If we do retain him, which I think we will, or we're just gonna lose a third round pick for nothing. But it's just more of the same with the Giants. I mean, like, a lot of I've always said that a lot of the allure of like the history of the Giants was overblown. Like, as far as like us being like so respectable, like, that we're like neck and neck with the Steelers. We're really not. I mean, for being in such a big market, I mean, like, we've been a really sucky team for like the '70s, the '90s, and now we're heading into this new decade, doing more of the same. I don't want to be a dour, fan. When it comes to my team, I'm not one of those dudes. I'd rather see them do a lot better. I think Matt Rhule, being a New York guy, and him putting feelers out there, that it was New York or bust when it came to his employment search in the NFL. I mean, he just seemed like the guy for us. And now, I mean, like, what's left is Garrett and Wink Martindale. I mean, like, those aren't the dudes. I mean, unless Bill Belichick comes through that door, I mean, like, we expect more of the same with the Giants. I mean, they're not gonna hire a coach and then be done with him 1 year. I mean, if that's the case, if they do hire somebody like Jason Garrett, and we do play sucky like I anticipate we will, then Garrett and Gettleman should go next year. That's I mean, to hell with the giant way, or the so-called giant way of trying to keep things where you're not firing personnel at the top all the time. To hell with that. I mean, if Gettleman was the reason that we didn't sign Matt Rhule, and we do sign a one of these lesser known coaches next year, and we don't have success next year, which I anticipate that we won't, then I think both Gettleman and whoever that replacement coach is should be out the door. Gettleman, he's very archaic in his thinking. He's always talked about making our offensive line great. Our offensive line looks just as bad as like when he got here. Nate Solder isn't much better than Flowers. I mean, Flowers is having success in with or had success this past year with the Redskins, but albeit he played in the guard position, or they had to put him in the guard position. But Nate Solder is there's no tackle. I'm not even gonna say left tackle that's worse than Nate Solder in the league. Since he's been here, he has been by far like one of the worst. He has not been. There's not 25 left tackles that are worse than Nate Solder since he's been here. Right now, he's the worst left tackle in the league, bar none. But we try to make this allure of like the giant way, and like we're like this ultra respectable franchise, and we're really not. And we can't give too much credit for to David Gettleman for signing Daniel Jones. I mean, like, because he's actually saying that it was our it was God, I'm drawing a blank, but our last coach that that was really pounding the table for him. That really wanted Daniel Jones, and he's kind of like walking away from the Daniel Jones selection to a degree in his interview with Joe Badingo and Matt and and Evan here in New York on WFAN. But another thing that sucks about this Matt Rule and like letting this process play out so long is that since Ron Rivera signed so quickly with the Redskins, one of your major candidates or options for head coach signed up so quickly, then you could have got the Matt Rule situation done, and then Matt Rule could have signed his assistants thereafter. Now, a lot of the assistants that had that were open for these vacancies are getting snatched up because we're so late into this process. We seem like we're 8 days late, and we didn't even meet Matt Rule, and now he's already signing up to be the Carolina head coach. So this is a giant mess. More of the same with this team. More of the same with this franchise. Gettleman, I mean, some people have a love affair for him. I mean, his selection of draft picks have been pretty good, but the time that he selected them um, is ass backwards. I mean, we could have been through with Eli Manning a year earlier and probably brought different personnel in. We could have picked linemen a lot earlier, and now we're still on square one. Everything that we needed on the team, like when he got here, we still pretty much need, with the exception of a replacement quarterback. But we needed a replacement quarterback a year before he got here anyway, because Eli Manning was on his way out. So that's my time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try to do more non-boxing videos when I get the chance. But shout out to you for coming through, and thanks.